So, you want to win more gunfights, huh? You want to be able to hold your own and make it so that anyone who dares to fight you one-on-one gets their face put in the dirt. Well, I can't promise you that after today you won't get your fair share of face plants, but what I can do is help it happen less often. In order to do that, you have to adjust your mentality and break some habits. In this video, I'm going to give you some of the more basic tips that should immediately help your chances of winning gunfights. So with that said, let's begin. First up, let's talk aiming, and I have several points to talk about on this topic. We all know that if you can't aim, you can't win, but there are some things that you can do to improve, and I'll even give you one trick that I use when I'm having a bad day. If you want to be more accurate, then try this practice. Go to any planet and pick a target. Practice aiming at that target and try to be as accurate as possible. Move and jump around to do this to make it more challenging. Just try to maintain accuracy while you do it. This should help with your aiming and help you track your targets better. Next, check your sensitivity settings. Try to pick the one that's best for you or the one that you feel more comfortable with. For me, I switch between a 3 and a 4. Just keep in mind that if you do switch to a new sensitivity setting, it will take a bit for you to adjust to it, so give it some time to see if you like it. If not, then try something different. Then give that some time to see if you like that, and just keep doing that until you get something that you're comfortable with. This next point is something that a lot of people is guilty of, and that is keeping your cursor up and ready at all times. And what I mean by this is a lot of us, when sprinting or moving, we will have our cursor aimed at the ground or aims basically everywhere but where we should be looking. This is a big mistake because if someone comes around the corner shooting you, you will have to drag your cursor from the ground all the way up and undone it. In the time that it takes for you to adjust your aim, your opponent will already have the advantage. If you have your cursor up and someone comes around the corner, you'll be ready. So always do this wherever you go. You're checking around a corner, don't just look. Have your gun already in front of you, ready to shoot in that direction. Jumping up on a platform to engage opponents, be sure to have your gun aimed in that direction after you jump. This is just preparation. Usually the person that starts shooting first wins the fight. This next point is something I use, especially on days where my aim is just off and I'm aiming like a potato. Keep in mind that these type of days happen to the best of us. If you know anything about any shooter ever, then you know that whenever you aim your gun, your cursor is always in the middle of your screen, no matter what. So when I'm having a bad day or having a hard time tracking my opponents, I will do this strange mental thing to where instead of aiming with the sights of my weapon, I'll aim with the middle of my screen or do a combination of both. This may sound a bit confusing, but for anyone that understands this concept, this might be useful for you. And the last point I have about aiming is aim for the head. Yeah, I know some of these small details may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how much small stuff you forget to do in the middle of a battle. Moving on to the next topic, let's talk strafe. Most of you know by now that strafe in gunfights allows you to dodge some of your opponent bullets while placing your own, but what I want to talk about is excessive strafing. Some people go a little overboard with the strafing, and a lot of people have picked up this technique of crouch spamming where it looks like you're teabagging someone in the middle of a gunfight. Listen, don't do that, and here's why. Placing your shots is way more important than trying to make your opponents miss theirs. If you are going crazy trying to make your opponent miss, then chances are you are not focusing too much on your precision as well. So, keep strafing down to a minimum. You'll be surprised how much simple movements will throw your opponent off. And the last tip I wanted to talk about is not putting yourself in disadvantaged gunfights. I see a lot of people do this, and some examples of disadvantaged gunfights are fighting a full health warlock while they're in the middle of their healing circle, fighting 2 or more opponents by yourself, picking a gunfight with someone where you're at low health and they are at full health. And this is basically referring to if your teammates are not there alongside you fighting with you. What I do in those situations, if I take damage and we're having a team gunfight, is I'll peek around a corner and take a couple shots, do some damage, and then I'll take cover again. But if your team isn't immediately there with you, then don't try to pick gunfights. Like if you're running, you come around a corner and you're damaged and you see a full health person, then don't pick that gunfight because you're already at a disadvantage and they most likely is just going to pick you off. But also make sure you use cover. That's another example of disadvantaged gunfights. If you play long enough, you'll start to get a sense of when you're in a gunfight that you will most likely not win. Trust that instinct. Walk away and live to fight another day. Don't be afraid to walk away and live to fight another day. But those are all the basic tips that I have that should immediately help you win more gunfights. Obviously, there are more advanced tips that I can give you, and I plan to release a video later in the future about these advanced tips. So if you have not subscribed, be sure to do so. If you enjoyed this video, then definitely drop a like. It will make me happy. Be sure to comment down below if you have any questions or comments. But thank you all for watching. That is all for me. I'm Shadow Hollow, signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video.